Hey everybody, good day, good afternoon. We're about to go live in the studio once again. Let me invite a bunch of people to come on with us. Hope everybody is doing good. Let me turn on and see. Everybody's doing well. But we're about to go live in the studio, all. If you want to get on and tune in with me, I would really appreciate the support today.
Okay, I'm going to get out of your hair for a while.
All right.
I'm going to be listening online.
Okay. All right, DJ. All right, everybody. It is about that time. And we're about to go live in the studio today. We are at what did I say? We are at WRFU UCIMC, and we are in Urbana. We're in Urbana today. Thanks everybody for getting on and tuning in with me, Andre. I see you. Let us see. It's almost 3 p.m. It's almost 3. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon. It has been a busy week for us. But everybody get online with me and we can get started here pretty soon. And thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in to me today. You are on live with Afternoons with Delight. And like I said, once again, thanks again for everybody tuning in to me today. I appreciate you all jumping on live with me. It has been cold outside. But before we get started, let me go over my legal ID with everyone as we are on the air here. And right now, I'm going to say this at the top of the hour. I say it each hour, everyone. WRFU LP Urbana. This is our disclaimer. WRFU is an open forum for the Urbana-Champaign community. Views expressed are those of the speaker and guests and are not intended to represent WRFU UCIMC. And like I said, thanks a bunch for tuning in to me today. And as I do every time that I come on live, you know this, I introduce who's in the studio with me. And today, Andre is here.
Hello, everybody. Hello, radio world.
Andre's here. And there's Leah, back over in the corner as per usual. But like I said, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to me today. It has been one for the making this week, Andre. It's been a nice little chill in the air outside.
A little chill, a little snow, a little ice.
I hope everybody was careful.
I don't think so. Not the way the roads were. The cars are all in.
Yeah, I know. Yesterday, what was that, Monday, when it initially started out? It was treacherous out there. I can say that much. You know what I mean? But I'm glad most people, I hope everybody made it in and it was not, you got to your destination with no problems. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to me today. It's cold, guys. I got my scarf on. I'm doing my thing. But anyway, we are here in the studio. And Andre, where are we going to cap off today? We've got a little to discuss today.
Yeah, we're gonna swing back around to the hall pass topic.
To the hall pass topic, are you meaning to say like actually giving passes in order to do different things in your relationship?
Yes, passes or even understandings in the relationship.
Understanding. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Just a little bit.
Things that I found out, over this weekend. It's like, it's been going on for a long time. I talked to a couple older couples in their 50s and 60s that they had, other people in their lives while they were still married.
So
And it wasn't
you
no
mean they
problem.
knew about
Yeah.
the other people in the lives as
Yes, they knew, and they had just not to bring it to the light.
mm,
You know, they go do their thing in a different city or, you know, just around town because, you know, they didn't have Facebook or anything. Anybody,
right?
you couldn't get caught up like that
Right.
back in the day.
Oh my gosh. So are you saying that the past has been a situation that's been going on many moons,
Yes.
but now it's being like,
Get broadcasted now since in the light. It was done in the dark
wow,
because there was nobody who could tell on you or take a picture of you with somebody else.
that's the truth. And you know, they got this new little app on your iPhone now up in the corner. I said, this is going to break up a lot of happy homes because you can record the other person.
Oh, yeah.
It's a new app on the phone. Literally, I'm telling you, Andre, where you can record, and you know, it says it on the phone like this, that you're now being recorded, right? But Andre, think about the times where people are going to get caught up now.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, I was talking to some elderly persons myself, you know, most recently, and I don't think that was even. A lot of people would worry about it, but a lot of them wouldn't. So I'm like, you know, I've been told that the nicer the man was in their life, you find out he's doing the worst. You know what I mean? But this is from older generations of people. So we're talking about in their 70s, in their 80s, right? And this was like a normal thing.
Yeah. Especially like at funerals too. Like, you know, you see other family members that you didn't know.
We talked about that. We definitely talked about that because
they're just on the other side of town, but you really didn't know who they were.
Yeah. That's the scariness of it all right there for me. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're talking about like, if you know, let's talk about our Father, you know, and I'm not talking about our Father who art in heaven.
Right.
I'm talking about like our dad, right? But honestly, you know, I mean, there are critical times, right, where we're like, what is going on? Like, I've heard so many different stories, and I mean, not to put our business out there, but I'm sure everybody has had a story either about your grandfather or your father or somebody stepping out on the family, and maybe he has children on the other side of town, something to that effect, right? But I think that is a normal type situation. But then at some point in time, I am wondering, especially with women, like how much do you allot and how much, you know, is like no.
Right. Or are you just willfully blinded, you know?
Yeah.
You know, you just denying it. Or...
Do you think that has a lot to do with the age barrier? You know what I mean? Because our dad was way older than our mother. Right. You know what I mean? I'm not saying way, but considering the time period that they were in, I think the maturity level of people was just different.
Right.
And then for you to get somebody that is significantly older than you, which we keep having that conversation with young women. I think that was a huge topic over the weekend that I was having conversations. And forgive me all for not coming in on Thanksgiving, but you know how it happens. Leah, Brother Terrence, you on? Charles, you on? Hey, what's going on? But I think that was like that's a big topic for a lot of young ladies to digest, you know?
Right. Because they get molded by the older man or vice versa. Right. Because there's a lot of older women looking for younger men.
That's the truth. You know, and how do you like really express to them, and you know, me and my cousin, or our cousin Rachel Ray, she was online, and we had this conversation just a couple of days ago about like offering your advice and your wisdom to young women, and sometimes you find that they get offended, you know what I mean, by even listening to you or having you come into, you know, that conversation where you're like, listen, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Right. You know?
Yeah, because you're opening their eyes to something they don't like. They were safe in their little box.
Right.
Or, you know, little circle or whatever.
Yeah, I know. And then, you know, because it's your responsibility at that point in time, if you know better.
Yeah, to do better.
Right. So, you know, I find that is a that's a big barrier for a lot of people right now. You know, I guess coming into their own, being wising up on a lot of different things that have to do with relationships, you know. Yeah, wising up with a lot of things that have to do with relationships, because at some point in time you find out that, you know what, this person really meant me no good, or was no, you know what I mean?
Or manipulating the
Right.
process.
Right.
I'm so great, but they really a slime ball.
Right, Andre.
Yeah.
I mean, and then how do you go and process back from that? We even had that conversation before. Is like, is a lot of your relationship picking based on your mother and father and how they, you know, like raised us and just seeing those relationships. So, you know, a lot of people will be like, you know, well, you know, it wasn't that bad. I had mom and dad in the house, or, you know, my relationship, I don't think I pick a person based on my mother and my father, even though that had a lot of bearing on what you're selecting.
Right. But they don't even realize that's what you're selecting. Like,
No.
I want somebody, you know, take care of me and cook and you know, take care of the kids. Like, you know, people might not, you know, everybody might not want to do all that.
Yeah. I mean, but the times now, nobody wants to do that, it seems like.
Well, it's just a lot of propaganda out there.
I think so, too.
Showing, but it's a lot of women who wants to, you know, to do that.
I think so, too, Andre.
You got to find them out the trash.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Bubby had said something online, and like I tell everybody, I get on when I go live on the radio. I'm also on Facebook Live at the same time, and you can look me up. My name is Mika Light, and these videos will be posted to YouTube under Afternoons with Delight after this radio recording is completed today. But Bubby was just talking about this. My son was just talking about this online the other day. Like, he wishes that his father would have gave him better advice, you know, concerning women. And I you know what? I listened to him say that, but Andre, I gave him great advice. Yeah. But I don't think he wanted to accept it. Right. And the mannerism of how raw and gritty I told it to him, I don't think he could process it. You know what I mean? Because I fed it to him with no chaser.
No pepper, no seasoning.
I gave it to him straight with no chaser. You know what I mean? And you know, people that understand alcohol. But anyway, so I don't think he had a really.
Yeah, it was a shock to him.
It was, you know, and
then he couldn't come back to you with questions because he's already in shock. Man.
Yeah, because.
He's going to go off on me again, but he's not really going off on you.
Right, Andre, right. I was simply telling him the rules of the road. You can't go out there ill-equipped and send your children out ill-equipped. But I think a lot of times is that we, you know, like, you know, as I'm raising my son, I don't really have other men besides you that I could really go to. Right. And if you're not in town and a part of this, then we really don't have any more, you know. And I wish there was like, and I know that I saw Tracy Days, you know, talking about a young men's group. I've seen Carlos Harvey now talking about a young men's group or a men's group in order to really explain these things to them. You know what I mean? Because I think they're missing out on a lot just by not having that father there. And then when your mother explains it to you, that's a whole different ball game because
you're explaining something that they have no idea about. You know?
No. You know, honestly.
You're trying to explain how to be a man, and they don't even know the first thing about being a man. Right. And is there a first thing about being a man? You know what I mean? Other than looking appropriate, dressing appropriately, you know, walking appropriately. But that's for somebody else. That's not for self.
Right.
You got to be a man for self.
I'm telling you, because that's a real struggle. Because if you don't have nothing to actually emulate yourself after, right? And I could see how, like, right now we're in a time where these young men are like
emulating chaos.
and complete chaos. And then they're operating on female behaviors. You know, I was talking to somebody about the trigger happiness of it. You know, like how they're moving, like there is no, you know, I don't care. You know what I mean? And it reminds me of that feminine nature of, as a woman, that you're quick to fly off the handle. And I'm not saying every woman, because obviously every woman, you know, I can't speak for every woman under that direction, but the nature of how they're very emotional instead of being logical, you know.
They're more reactive instead of...
Extremely, you know, instead of being proactive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, if the situation happens, what could I do? You know,
I know
that's just waiting for it to happen and just boom.
Yeah,
just do something.
Yeah, and then you find out that they really didn't know what to do at all. You know, and that's what I think. Like a lot of our support, a lot of the supporters that are out here online, those are things that you can go into the high school, right? You go into the high school, you can give those supports for young men, because literally, what do they have to emulate themselves after? And if only we're talking about what was present and what's being operated under this umbrella right now, right? If only they see, you know, the physical presence of like what a man is, and not understanding that there is an emotional, you know, awareness that you must possess, right? Because you have to be an emotional intelligent as well to operate. But if you're not telling them like there's layers to just living, and I'm not saying to just living as a male or as a female, it's layers, right? In all facets. I mean, we have to learn how to navigate and mitigate life. And if you have nobody to really show you, then it's like who's there for you? You know what I mean? So I think those are a lot of issues that could be really addressed. Hey, Ronald. Lee is online. Terrence is online. Okay. But, you know, you can see a lot of those different areas being affected and afflicted because of what we put out here. And we keep constantly going back to the music. We keep constantly going into those conversations where you're just like, at some point in time, you know, we gotta...
think for yourself.
Man, you have to.
And my thing is, you got to do no wrong and do no harm. Try to do no harm. Try to.
Right.
You know, because I wouldn't want nobody to do something bad to me like that.
Right. That's the truth.
And that's how I try to live. You know, I don't want to do no harm.
That's a good question,
but
though.
You also have to watch out for people who do harm you.
Yeah, that's a good question, though, Andre, because, I mean, as religion, we can dive into that. Yeah. As religion and as those principles and those moral properties have basically been depleted out of the schools, what are they really teaching them? Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you know, yesterday I was at the school again, and you know, the language of these young people at 11, 12, 13 years old. And I'm like, you know, some little girl was telling another little girl, didn't your mama teach you that if somebody hits you, you better hit them back? And Andre, I mean, I understand that, right? Because like you just said, you don't want anybody to take advantage of you. You don't want nobody abusing you. Right. We get that, right?
But you don't want to strike.
Right. And I struggled with that a lot, because I was like, just thinking to myself, like, what are parents really telling their kids? Like, are they telling them like it's okay? Because that's why we got so much bullying going on. Anyway, I listened to girls, which I had to constantly break them up from talking about things that were starting points. Right. Like flash starting points to the other. Right. These girls, you know, even though they said they were joking and they were playing, and now they got, what's that new TikTok thing that they do now? Suspect is blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But they joning on them. You know what I'm saying? So.
But the jones be real sometimes.
That's the funny of it, right? Because the truest thing is the funniest thing.
They ain't the funny to the other person.
Exactly. But that's what you know, like they thinking it's starting out as something simple online, suspect, you know, and it being funny and it being comical until it's not comical for a child who can't even process the emotional intelligence enough to figure out, I'm mad and now I want to hit somebody.
Right.
Because
So it is true, you know, I might not have nothing to eat, or my clothes might not be good. Or,
Andre,
you know,
that's the truth of it.
You don't get to a boiling point.
I had to.
Pressure cooker.
I'm trying to tell you, I had to stop another girl from talking about another girl being unclean. You know what I'm saying? And you know, everybody else is going around the table and they're, you know, like saying several things. And I was like, you know, I don't think that's not what we need to be focusing on right here. And it's like the level that they'll go to after you try to correct their actions, right? Because they're still continue to think, you know what, nothing is wrong, until I really had to pull this girl over to the side and explain to her, like, that was the most hurtful thing that you could have said to her. But then you're trying to be her friend as well. And she's like, well, all my friends do that. So if all your friends, I was like, you know, I'm thinking to myself, she got about a circle of about 7, 8 friend girls at school, because these are the girls that are there, right? And, you know, they're talking, they know each other's home lives, each other's, you know, deaths and families, all this stuff. But I'm like, they are pouring the most hatred and putrid things into one another.
And that's the stuff that they tell to their friends in confidence, you know, or want to be in confidence.
Right. And then how are you going to get any help or any resolve from your friends who can't even really express or explain or give you sympathy or empathy regarding your situation, because they're children themselves.
Then you got to go on the other side too. That girl might be saying that to this girl. Now you got to fight 3 girls.
Yeah, and you know those were the issues from the young ladies that I was working with, because I'm like, that's been the motive of why they are requesting, you know, the assistance for the youth right now, is that they're constantly getting into fights. They're constantly disrupting. You know, you can get something out of that, because most of the time that is like a destructive type of situation to be in. You know, but yeah, what's up, Nate? But I think that's a real question out here right now, because it's like, what are we doing to make changes that are really working, and how we can share those changes that we're making from students, from young people, from young men to young women, that we can pass this along into another programming, into another mentorship program, into another even skills for success. You know, even learning the soft skills. Like, I'm talking to the young people right now who don't cook, Andre, who never turned on the iron. And they're like 13, 14 years old. Everything that you make is in the microwave. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that can't be.
Because everything in the refrigerator is for the microwave. You know? They don't have no rice.
No, that can't be anything. Like, they're not being taught how to do any survival skills, you know, like, for a maintain. And this is why I can't understand parents when they talk about, you know, at 18 years old, like, my child, you know, they out. I'm just finna get rid of them. They finna be out of my hair. I'm gonna be single. But you've taught them nothing.
Right. You taught them to hate you.
Andre.
And if they do make it, then now, you know, it turns back around when you get old.
Andre, I'm being totally honest with you, because how do you can't literally, right, say that you taught your child enough to go out here in the world and make it by themselves. And that's the reason why they constantly keep coming home, Andre. You know what I mean? Because they can't make it by themselves. And we had that conversation several weeks ago on the radio about them even calling the doctor.
Right.
Like, making an appointment, anything for yourself. And I see that so many times right now, which you know, what's going on out here is they're raising them on this technology. but not utilizing the technology for fully what it's worth.
Right.
You know, because at some point in time, you know, we got to start looking like you were talking about before. You know, we did that.
Yeah.
You know, we did that. You know, we handed off the phone thinking that we were mature enough to handle it to a bunch of children that are not even able to handle the harshness, the criticism, you know, the abuse that they ensue on a device that they can control an off and on switch. They can control the off and on.
Just like example, when I was started driving, I had to look at maps to go places.
Right.
I wanted to drive and go to Peoria.
Right.
I had to find the map.
Yep.
Chart my course.
Yep.
And, you know, and if I got lost, I had to go stop and look at the map.
Right.
Or, you know, or go to the nearest diner.
Right. Right.
For directions.
Right. Andre, if this phone is not a handicap at this point, because they're not looking for you. Hey, Azar, but they're not looking for how to figure out how to
They got their own situation.
No.
Just Google it. What happened today? What's the weather gonna be? Go outside and look at it. Clouds, the clouds is coming in. It might be rain.
No. And you're talking about a whole entire situation that is like they cannot figure that out.
Right.
You know, I was talking to a friend girl of mine, you know, we're in the public schools and she's a sub and I'm a sub too. And, you know, we know that because of the age of technology right now, you know, the kids are going to cheat. You know what I mean? But really, I'm like, do you realize that you've cheated yourself if you don't know how to read, if you don't know how to do a math problem? Because you have to...
You don't know how to do spacing. You don't know how to put spacing
in. No, you don't know how to use punctuation. We had this conversation last night. The period, right? The semicolon, the colon, the apostrophe. Like none of these things, because even when they're texting and they're writing, they're not...
Yeah, they're not texting full words.
They're not even thinking about that.
Yeah.
You know, because that's too much like...
Yeah. I got a text the other day. It's like WWC F2F. I'm like, what does this mean?
Wow.
What does this mean? I don't know.
I had to look up something last week before last, and I believe like Jody had put it up online, and I was like, what does that even mean? Honestly, Andre, that's a whole dictation for abbreviation that you got to learn because
everybody doesn't want to learn the whole.
You don't want to learn how to spell
the subject and the predicate.
No. So it's a hard pill to swallow when you find out that you're the reason for it.
Right.
Now that's the pill that a lot of people are not going to be okay with. They're not going to be agreeable if you telling them, you know what? It's all your fault, little Timmy can't read. You know what I'm saying?
Commercial. I learned it by watching you, Dad.
Exactly. I learned it by watching you. That was, man, I'm telling you, that was that drug commercial back in the 80s, but I'm so serious. That's crazy. That is a hard pill to swallow, you know? And it's not like we sitting on here laughing at it, but we are. But we laughing because I cannot believe it got to this level.
Right.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. The way that we grew up, even the fact that we were diligent about reading because we didn't have the technologies, right? We had, what was that game? What was that game? Pong.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we was old school when we had Pong. I mean, it had been out for years and we had just got it.
Right.
And I'm telling you, but we didn't have anything else. So like our creativity was based on the books that we obtained.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Right.
You learn how to draw.
Right.
You learn how to do book reports.
Right.
You got the pizza for doing the book reports.
Oh my gosh, Andre, the
book it.
Yeah. You get a badge, you get everything if you learned how to read, right?
And do a little book report, 2 paragraphs.
A little book report and 2 paragraphs worth of reading and you get a pizza every week. And if you were lucky, you got it every week on a Friday, and you had your mom and dad take you wherever you needed to go. But I'm telling you right now, I don't know where they're getting a lot of the, and even in saying a creativity, like, is it stolen creativity?
Because you can just talk to your phone. 2 words. Oh, make me a paragraph about this, and it'll make it.
Right.
I was amazed by. I used it last week.
What? ChatGPT?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ChatGPT is the devil. Like, literally, I'm telling you, because
I said, "What is this?"
yes.
My sister, you talking about that? Let me use this real quick.
I'm trying to tell you, but you know what? You're losing a lot if that's the only recourse and your only source for getting any type of understanding, a clear guide, practice. And you know what? I think that's how a lot of people get put in certain positions in job placement, Andre, is because there's no way you learned all of that. There's no way. No, you did not. And so when you're in a position where now you have to apply, and you actually have to do the work,
Right.
I think that's where a lot of people struggle at, because they're like, you know what? Even though I'm saying that I'm capable, you know, ChatGPT helped me all of my life. I can't verbalize or put it in the context where it would even be had it not been for ChatGPT.
Right. And that has a lot to do with the workforce too, because that's why they never promote the worker. They just get somebody from college or something, because they don't have to do the work.
Yeah. That's a scary way of seeing life right now. Is everything that we're utilizing or trying to do for young people, or everything that we're trying to do as far as like work ethic, work anything at this point in time,
Work
even
books. You don't have
no,
you don't have handwriting skills?
No, because everything is on a tablet now.
Yeah.
And so even with the tablet, you can still get on, what is it, Chrome or no, Google. Even when you're on the Chromebook itself, you can still Google. You know what I'm saying? I just saw a professor who had put everything online, like a whole complete test. It was their whole complete test for the end of the year, I guess. I'm assuming, right? She put this whole entire thing up online, Andre. And the reason why she did it was because, you know, she wanted to see how many people would go into their email and actually look to see what she emailed them, right? And of course, you know, they'll scan their phone all day long. But when it comes to important facts or the documents that they need, or even an important email, if your professor emails you, don't you think that's important? No, they didn't. Andre, so she walked in class that next day, and every student, Andre, failed because they did not open that email. And it was the entire test. Like, and she was like, I'm finna send you out the test right now. It's open. You can take it all. If nobody replies by midnight tonight, Andre, it's a F for everybody. And everybody got an F. Because they didn't open up the email. You're a professor.
Right.
You're a professor. But that lets you know, like, their validity in seeing or searching out or having hire people to, you know, report to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't care. Yeah, I don't care anymore.
That should have been the first thing.
That should have been, but, you know, and I thought even in your syllabus, when they hand it out to you at the first part of class, right? All your stuff is usually written per date. Yeah. Everything is assigned. All you got to do is flow with the narrative. You can even work ahead, you know, but no.
Right, don't read that. It's probably emailed to them.
That's what I said too. It probably is because they're not doing paper anymore, not for real. You know, and I don't know how big of a help that is or not. And you know, they saving the trees, but are they saving the brains and the minds of our youth?
Yeah, but you know, no tree ever made of paper. That's what they said. It's just like the pay cuts.
Right.
Yeah, that's what paper's made from.
Yeah. But I think that is the wildest thing I have heard. You know, like, I don't know what point in time we will get to a place where we ever are seeing that this is like what we doing and what we relying on is totally wrong, man. It's wrong out here. You know, and how soon can we correct or modify or switch those senses of change that we got to have, Andre? We have to have in order to operate a successful community. And then you're thinking about, even as the time goes on and time passes, and we're getting ready to get into our 50 realms and over.
Right.
Now, who's the next up? It's the people that's in their 40s, and next is the people in their 30s, and then like this generation that we're in right now, how it's just being like decimated. I mean, even from the educational standpoint, and I'm talking about, people of color, we're talking about our community, because this is what we're addressing, is the needs, the benefits, what happens when we don't have certain situations in our society, and what we're getting the outcomes of right now, right?
Yeah.
I'm scared to think of the future.
Right.
I'm scared to think that we won't have doctors, we won't have the lawyers, we won't have, just like Leah said and her friend said several weeks back, we won't have those things. So then what? And I'm talking about for our people, right? Yeah. So like they already believe that we don't have the same pain scale. Black people don't experience pain in the same mannerism as our Caucasian counterpart. They don't believe that, Andre. So if they don't believe that I'm in the same amount of pain and I got my leg tore off, just like Tim got his leg tore off, but they won't give us the same pain medications, then who's our doctors going to believe what we're saying, Andre? Who's going to take the time with us? Who's going to actually care? And I'm not saying everybody has these experiences, but I can say that I have these experiences. I can say, I went in for a common cold. What was that? Like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Right.
And the doctor looked at me like I was med seeking because I told him I couldn't breathe. And I'm like, can you give me a breathing treatment? please, sir, can I have some more? I'm like, seriously, I have to beg you for the things that I need.
And that you pay for it. Well, insurance.
Andre, I have to beg for the things that I need.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that will never make sense to me. Right. How they'll, the assumptions that they have on us. Like I said, even before, the assumptions that they have on us. Hey, Sherry, the assumptions they have on us just aren't logical.
They're not. Like, oh, you're strong because you're black. What?
No.
Because I'm black, I'm strong.
No.
I might get a cold. You don't need a hat. You don't need no protective weather gear.
That's crazy.
Going outside.
Yeah.
Just wear but everybody else got thermals and overalls.
Right.
Or you can tell me you get some. Oh, you can take it.
Yeah. What? And that's what I understand about this. Champaign has opened my eyes to a lot in this community. And it's a struggle for me to be on a path where I'm just like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't that bad. Hey, DeMonte. But I'm like, maybe it wasn't that bad. You know what I'm saying?
Well, maybe it wasn't as good as it's supposed to be.
Man, that's why DeMonte got on down. Ain't that why you left here, DeMonte? You know what I'm saying? I'm serious, because this is not normal up here. It's really, I enjoy what I put into this community, because I know what I put in, I get. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I built myself a sense of community and family when I landed here. And I know a lot of people here. I've worked in a lot of companies and organizations, like I've said before here. But I'm telling you, there is such a struggle, DeMonte said he had to go to Texas to get the big bucks. You're right. The cost of living is very different as well. We lived down there in Houston for a little while, but I'm telling you, you felt like you could make it there. Hey, Matt. But you felt like you could make it there. Just like, you going to Indianapolis, I'm sure you felt like you could make it there better than you could here.
Right.
And that's crazy, because this is like small town USA, right?
Yeah, you should be able to. But
you should be able to,
Three checks don't even make you rent.
Andre, the way they got things going on out here in Champaign, where they telling you got to have 3 times your rent, you got to make 3 times the rent. The normal rent here right now is like $1,700. That's normal.
Right.
Andre.
That's what 2 bedroom.
Andre.
2 3-bedroom.
2 3-bedroom. But my thing is $1,700 for what?
For what?
What am I paying for?
Right. I could be buying a house with that.
Andre, and you done bought their houses over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Until we get to this place where we got to be like, you know what? Rent has got to be now a thing where I feel like we are in an economic crisis.
Right. Yeah.
We are in a real crisis, even for supportive housing. Like, you know, I've talked to different people. Hey, Eric, but I'm telling you, I've been talking to different people, and even in the programmings that we have now started. So, you know, there is no way for you to sit out here and make it and think that you'll be able to make it on the salaries that they are currently paying in this city. And, you know, we can circle back to having that discussion once more, because that is a critical discussion that either has to be taken up with the city manager, our new city manager, about how we can get in and talk to these landlords who are price gouging on the places that we live in. Even though, you know, the first year or two, they properties were paid for by rent. Let's be for real. You're not making a payment on this place anymore. No. It's been paid for 10, 20, 30 times. So why are you charging me so much money? Right. You know, and I don't think that anybody wants to have that real conversation, Andre.
Why does it keep going up? It might be 17, it'd be 18.50.
Andre, it'd be $9.50. I remember them apartments on John Street used to be like $9.50, $900, or $9.25. That's what I paid when I was moving in, when I lived in them, right? And now, you know, the astronomical number of 14, 15, 16, 1700, like what? Right. For what? When this is not renovated. This is not new.
It's not new. 10 years old.
20. Yeah. You know, you living in a place that's 20 years old, but you paying $1,700. Like they just built it 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? I'm not understanding. And I'm telling you, like, this is like, our community needs to pay attention and wake up to what's going on, because we're not going to get those wages either. Right. So they bump up the cost of our wages in Illinois. What is it? $15 is the minimum wage now. But everything.
That's not even, the factory is still 20, you know?
Right.
You know.
But Andre, you're not going to make it on $15 an hour. You're just not going to make it. No, you're not going to make it on $20 an hour either. You know, but yet we're forced to inhabit places that they want us to inhabit, because this is all we're succumbed to and left to. Right. Then you got to think about the manipulation on these property managers, how they do it, where you have to sit here, Andre, you'll pay your double rent, right? Yeah. You'll pay, you know, you got to make 3 times the rent, of course. So that's one thing, right? Then you're talking about once that gets done and once that's made, now, you know, you're paying for your utilities, which we only got one utility provider, which I feel like that is a scam within itself. Because if you live in any other state, you got 3 or 4 selected utility providers to get that, you know what I'm saying, electrical service rendered to you. You can choose between what wattage you want to pay and where you want to pay. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So when you're here, you're just left to, okay, this is what we're going to give you, and that's what we're going to give you.
And be happy about it.
And be very happy. It's like you have to be in a yes master mindset, you know? Yeah. And I can't understand why nobody is like, you know what, this can't be our normalcy. Yeah, this can't be normal. It shouldn't be, Andre. Yeah. And you're always implanted as being the worker. Right. Worker.
The worker.
It's all, you know.
That's all you're going to be.
That's all they want you to be.
That's all your kids going to be.
Right. Yeah. That's all they want you to be.
How dare you try to get college fund for your kids?
Andre, I've never seen more disappointment. You know, I'm super disappointed in just the construct of how this is set up, because it's set up for you're going to fail. Sure. You know, and we have homelessness here. And, you know, I can speak to the homeless population here, is they keep, people think that, you know, all people that are homeless, they want to be out on the street. They want to be homeless. You know, no, most of the time they get into a situation where I could have got into a situation just because of my health, you know, and then been forced to be homeless because of my health. So then now we've got a lot of people right now that are swinging back and forth. Okay, you know what? I was doing well. I had my family taking care of my bills. I've heard this conversation on numerous occasions from a lot of different people who are like, I didn't have any backup plan. But, and like I keep saying this as well, we get involved in going to church. We get involved in the community, which is built inside of the church, which I understand. That's what y'all choose to do. That's what y'all choose to do. But I need a pastor and I need a leader who's going to tell me where I can invest my money. So if I can't invest it in the church while I'm paying tithes and offerings, what sense does that make to me? You know, I'm not getting anything out of it other than the leadership. But then, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. What is the leadership doing for me?
Right. When you fall, he's not going to pick you up.
No. You know, I learned something so critical a couple of weeks ago. Me and my cousin were talking because, you know, I had a family member lose a child. And let me tell you, not having a home church, she said, you know, they won't bury you if you don't have a home church. You know, like the pastor won't render services to you, won't render nothing like that. So the criticalness in finding a home church, and I'm like, but your home, what is this really about?
It sounds like a scam.
Andre, I ain't said it, but you did. But like I said, hey, John, but like I said, that is crazy to me. Is that not nuts to you?
I can't be, saved in the eyes of God being married, but I got to join your church first before I can do that.
Before you can be married, you have to have a home church for the pastor to really like render aid to you. Yeah. You know, your funeral, your programming for your funeral, all of those different facets come on, and they're volunteered under the fact that you belong to a organization, you belong to this church. Sure. And she was like, that was the hardest part of even planning anything, planning the funeral, planning anything, is the fact that she did not have a home church. Mm-hmm. That's amazing to me.
But all families got churches. How come they just can't go to them?
Exactly. But that wasn't her church. That wasn't their church. Everybody's name is on a roster, just like how the Lord has our name on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Has our name on it, right? Yeah. Andre, but if you don't have your name on a church, friend, you know what I'm saying? That's the criticalness of it all. And I'm telling y'all, that sounds like a lot to me.
Yeah, it sounds like manipulation.
It really does, Andre. It really does. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you, like, just learning about different stuff, going and experiencing different things, having my family and different people to talk to. It's very eye-opening to see the things that we struggle with out here, Mm-hmm. And the fact, like I said, even from coming from a standpoint of working with, like I said, homeless people. And I think about that too, Andre, like what funds are set up in the case or the expense of this family member passing away or dying, like who would be responsible for them,
And all the young kids getting shot, their parents probably not be in the home church
no.
So they got to join a home church before.
But that's why they end up having them at that, what's that thing called? Like, the chapel or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The funeral chapel or whatever it is, right? Or, I just think that's a whole different ball game of a fight that I didn't even know we needed dogs in it for.
Right. Yeah, because every time we go to the funeral, they're trying to recruit members.
That's true.
At the end of the service.
That is true.
You need to stop by and talk to Brother Bishop today.
Right. That's
but
true.
You won't let him in your services without,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Is a recruitment?
Is it a recruitment for the church?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because at some point in time, I would really like to have that conversation. Because that's kind of...
because it's said at every funeral I've been to.
Yeah.
If you don't know the Lord, you better get right with him today.
Right.
That way you can be buried and go up with brother such and such.
Man. The whole time you get put on a roster at the funeral, at the church. Yeah. For them to be able to have your service.
Right.
So I'm just like, that was a whole different dynamic that I was like, wow. you know, and just dumbfounded by it, because I'm not saying that every church is like that, but I know down south they just did that. So I'm just like, wow, you know, I don't know, Andre. I don't know
That just sounds very bad.
it really does. It really does. So
I kind of like realize it right now.
yeah. I'm telling you, Andre.
Kind of mad about it.
Yeah, but I was just like, wow. Like, you know, and I'm like, people didn't offer up like initially. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, we've got family and stuff. We got family that's preachers. We got family that's pastors. You know what I'm saying? But it was like they weren't there. They're not in that community and not in that town. So even though they had outside churches, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't the fact that they couldn't have went to them, but it was the fact that this is where this happened, so I got to hold this right here.
Right.
That was not offered up.
Right. And they couldn't like even call the preachers that we knew down there, like, hey, you know, do me a solid, you know, something, you know.
I know. Nope.
Your back 5 slides
Nope.
and that, you know.
No.
Kind of networking, you know.
And I would have thought that most organizations, but you see how divided it is in the church realm anyway. And I can speak on a lot of different things regarding that. But that is you know, and maybe that's why they try to keep it as separated as they possibly can, so one pastor won't offend another pastor, or even one biblical standing, how one pastor preaches a specific thing, or, you know, caters to certain individuals. Whatever the situation, how divided is it internally? Because I'm like, if we all believe the same thing and we all got a church, then why not just make one large mega church? But then you find that there are several pastors that just don't believe what the other pastor is preaching. And I'm like, but he right next door, he right down the corner. I mean, that much of a difference?
Yeah.
And this tweaked?
There's so many revivals that go from city to city, state to state, but you don't even congregate with your own people in town.
Yeah. You know.
That's kind of weird, too.
I mean, it is, Andre. I think a lot about it. I mean, I think a lot about, you know, how divided that we are, even though we're not supposed to be. Right. And I'm like, how much religious differences or biblical differences or even personal differences do you have where we all can't work together communally as one? Right. I struggle with that one because I'm like, it should not be 700 churches or 600 churches in a 500-mile radius.
Right. And none of them get along.
Right.
I got to go to Texas to have a revival.
Yeah. Now, you meet a few of them, but you won't meet a lot of them. And I'm like, at what point do you feel like you're really serving the community and its needs? Because if you only got a church and you only got 10 members, let's say that. No pun intended to anybody watching. You only got 10 members of a church, right? So you got a church. But are you so solid in the fact that I need to have my own church that I can't be up under anybody else's direction or leadership? Sure. Because every pastor says that they were called to pastor, right? Sure. But were they? Sure. You know, I'm struggling with that one, Andre, because every pastor can't be saying, oh, I was called to pastor. Right. Because they'll tell you quick, fast, in a hurry that you weren't called to minister. Right. You know? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, did the Lord tell you that for yourself personally, or was that intended for me?
For your congregation.
That's Andre?
You just got to get people to follow what you say. That's pretty much it. If you're pretty good at getting people to follow what you say, then you're there.
Really? I can get a lot of people to follow what I say, and I ain't no pastor. Right.
But if I had, the means and the opportunity to spread it out more,
right?
That's all. Right. That's all you need. Just
Yeah, I think
That's a lot with politics too. Just
I mean,
this is my policies too on politics.
yeah, I knew we was gonna get around to that one. But though, having the politics of understanding that,
Yeah.
because it was a young lady that had got online, and she was a really, really pretty young lady, and I think she was about 18, 19, maybe 20 years old. Anyway, she was explaining to a lot of pastors that had got together for their annual meeting, right? They got together for this annual meeting, and she was like, there are so many, what is that? Titles here. She's like, I don't have one title. And she said, I think that the Lord is, what had been impressed upon her heart was that it's so many titles, but nobody really seeking the Lord for actually, just seeking the Lord instead of being impressed by all these different titles. Like, who are you really ministering to? You know what I'm saying? Right. If you're not ministering to yourself and understanding that you really don't need a title in order. Yeah. No. You don't need a title to do the work.
You don't need a $5,000 suit.
You don't need them gators.
You can take your $5,000, give somebody just had a house fire or something.
Honestly, and I mean, if you and this is why society right now, I guess, has me so perplexed with how we're living. Right? I just watched. I went out and I was with my aunts and my cousin over the weekend, and we were in Black Friday shopping. Andre, I saw women out there with 20, 30, 50 bags just hanging off of them. And I'm like, I like to shop. I like nice things, right? But then I started thinking to myself, like, Andre, what they gonna do with all them clothes and socks and shoes, and what they gonna do with all of that? Right. And then I'm like, the need here in Champaign County is so great. For people that need homeless care, homeless services. And if you want to donate to us, you can always donate to us, because there are 2 new shelters that are open in Champaign County. And reach out to Marco Price, Sharita Johnson, or myself if you want to donate any meals to our current client list that we are supporting. But the needs that are out here are so great. Sure. That I feel like we're just doing a lot of wasteful acts, and the mindset of the waste and of the getting the things.
The things that you don't even want the next day.
No. Matter of fact, the things that you'll forget about in less than 6 months when you put it in your drawer and just forget about it. Because that's ultimately what really happens, Mm-hmm. You buy so much stuff, or you accumulate so many things that you don't even need it. And then I'm like, the overall purpose is not even met. You satisfied a thirst, but you didn't complete the meal prep. Right. You ain't did nothing in regards to actually benefiting somebody or making somebody, like, they got a warm coat because of me. You know what I'm saying? Or they got socks because of me. Because in the midst of you thinking that all these material things are going to go with you, they're not going with you, Andre. Right. And as soon as you die, unfortunately, your family going to get rid of that stuff, or half of that stuff going to go in the trash. Yep.
You're just going to be vultures pickings.
Exactly. And that's the sadness of it all, because I'm like, it has to be, we have to get to a better place. Yeah. We just have to get to a better place. Hey, Miss Alma, we just got to get to a better place of understanding one another, trying to meet the needs of the people that are surrounding us, that are in the communities that we live in and serve. Oh my gosh, Andre, it's a nightmare though. It's a sad situation to be in, where we could pool our resources a whole lot better and target and actually hit, making these changes that we need to make.
Yeah, we can help families. Donate $100 every month to their light bill or something.
Andre, I've talked about that before. I have talked about that before.
Just get a light bill or power bill.
Yeah.
Pay it,
yeah.
That'd help a lot.
Andre, that would help huge. That's huge how that would help. You know? And I don't think a lot of people even are really considering the real needs out here. You know, I know girls right now who are struggling just trying to make ends meet, who don't even have a solid car. You know, and they got to walk to work or walk. Those are real things that are needed, you know. And people are out here spending like, you know, that amount of money is nothing. It's reckless. It means nothing to me, you know. Right. So spending $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, that could easily help somebody in need.
Yeah, that could help 100 people. Give everybody $100.
Really? Mm-hmm.
Give them a gas card.
A food card, any of those things would work in this community right now. Honestly. But you guys, it's about 2 more minutes under. I guess we winding down the day, winding down the time. Thanks so much for everybody getting on to me with me today. Aunt Faye, you've been on. Charles, Mr. Winfrey, Mr. Terrence, Leah was on. Ronald, Nathan, Azart, Mr. Cobb, Sherry, Devontae. Thanks for getting on, Matt, Eric, John, Miss Alma, Benito. First. But, I really thanks a bunch for everybody that's getting online with me. I appreciate you tuning in to me today. It is almost 4 p.m., and we'll get out here on our gloominess. But if you want to end up donating anything, like I said before, we do have a couple more shelter options in Champaign County in this community right now that really need the support. If you would like to reach out to me, I usually put my email address up at the end of the program each time that we go live. If not, it's universalcco.7@gmail.com. And you have been on live with Afternoons with Delight. See you next time, guys.
Thursdays at 5 p.m. for the After Work Drive Show with your boy, DJ BJ Clark. I'll see you in the future.
See you guys later. We've signed off for today. Like I said before, if you want to donate any clothing, any items, any food, anything like that, please get in contact with me. My email address is universalcco.7@gmail.com. And like I said before, I appreciate you all tuning in to me today. And this has been Afternoons with Delight. Have a good one.
That being said, we can get right into today's show.